Okay, our crash here, and we're going to take a little trip back to 1980s. This is a grasshopper, which some of you may recognize. It's pretty popular. And when I was a kid, the very first RC car I seen was this car here, the grasshopper. And it wasn't till just about 3 years ago I picked this one up off of eBay for about 28 bucks. And I watched a lot of auctions, and on some of my videos I'm going to start giving you tips on how to RC for cheap and how I end up getting some of this stuff. But this was an auction, and I went through a lot of auctions before I ended up getting this one, because they'd go over what I was willing to spend on getting it. And of course it didn't look like this when I got it. I did a lot of work on it, cleaned it up, and I tried to keep it original because it's one of the older ones, except for I put in a electric ESC that I had laying around. But anyway, it's fun to kick around. It's kind of a shelf queen, but I'll rip it once in a while. So anyway, I found out that this company's brought back several of the cars from back in the 80s that I always used to go into the hobby shop and drool on, but there was no chance I was ever going to see one. But as life went on, I come across this. It's helping a man move, and it was in a box, and he's like, "Do you want this?" And I was like, "Sure." Well, I still didn't really recognize it. And we're going to go back to 1982 when this company came out, which is Tamiya with the Super Champ. And I've had this sitting around, and I know the frames went crazy on eBay, and I almost sold it. But I decided to keep it, and I'm glad I did. And I know the price probably got hit with these remakes coming out, but at least I can get parts now. So, and this is what the old speed control looked like in this thing, and it's pretty burned up, and that was part of my problems. So I can get some parts, and I'm gonna go ahead and put some videos up as I put this back together. It's gonna kind of be as I get money to buy parts, and so it's not gonna be a real quick build video or anything. You just have to kind of watch for the videos here and there as I get parts and get it cleaned up and get it back together. And this is a body I found back when I started putting it together at one time. I did run it for a while, and then of course everything ended up quitting on me. So it will be nice to get it back together and, you know, cruise it once in a while, but pretty much another shelf queen. So anyway, I also had the lunchbox, Vanessa's lunchbox. So here's another tip. You can get online, and these are going for several different prices, and I really don't want to get into prices, but you know, never you know, don't be hurt to go check out like the scratch and dent or clearance stuff. Because what I did is I seen this for several different prices, and I just kept shopping around until I found one that was on sale. And sometimes you gotta wait for stuff to come on sale, which, you know, there's been times I've waited 6 months or so even, you know, for something to hit, or an auction that I actually win that is in what I'm willing to spend. But anyway, I had quite a savings on getting this by, you know, looking around. And with the scratch and dent, that's mainly on, you know, when I was flying planes, because most likely you're going to wreck it. That's just the way a plane is. So why pay all that big expense and then wreck it, and, you know, you're going to have to fix it then. And that's mainly, I'm talking about foamies. When you're talking balsa, when they wreck, they're pretty much, you're done. But anyway, make sure you shop around, and like I say, scratch and dent. And, you know, there's times I'd buy planes, and you know, if they're really in bad shape, they still have radio equipment, which is usable to make, you know, planes. And I'll have to do a video on making $2 airframes out of foam from the dollar store, because then you can take that and radio equipment and stick it in there. So anyway, enough money saving tips. Let's crack this thing open. And the other thing on this that I noticed is they're selling it two different ways, with the speed control and without. So this is, of course, a little updated from the original back in the 80s. So make sure that you get the included speed control, because I got this one for the price that most people are selling without the speed control. And you'll be really bummed if you don't have a speed control and have to go out and buy it too. It's just going to add to the expense. And one more thing back to this grasshopper and so on. I picked up an old school radio for like $20, and it'll hold 10 models, a nice Futaba. I'll show it in one of my other videos. But I try and want to keep them old school, but I mean, that's some, you know, don't be afraid of that old radio system. Heck, they work better than the 2.4 gig as far as I'm concerned on range. Alright, and they're cheap. Looks like we get our chromes. Little box here. A bumper and there's springs. There's the motor. Which these things are not built for the motors and stuff we have today. The suspensions weren't made for that. These were just plain fun. And so if you're thinking of brushless, I mean, you can put a brushless in it if you want, but it's just going to tear the thing apart. It's just more a cruising fun deal. That van body out. There's the main carriage. And they have a red and a white replacement carriage, so if you're wanting to custom build one. And this is the same rear end as the grasshopper housing anyway, I think. I'm pretty sure. That's why I wanted to get this one, because I have parts for it. Oh, and the tires, they're nice and soft. So one thing about Tamiya, they are, you know, they're pricier than some, but you get what you pay for, definitely. It's all the swing arms and steering for the servo saver. So it looks like that's kind of looks the same as it did back in the 80s. And then the wheels. Looks like a skid plate. Headlight covers, windshield, and there's this electric speed control. It comes with, I really know nothing about these, except for they're hard to get open. Huh. This must be a brushed and brushless one. I kind of seen they had some of those like that, because it has 3 wires coming out. That's interesting. If you did go brushless, just don't overkill it on the KVs. And decals. And their instructions, which even back in the 80s, they always had amazing instructions. They're wonderful. And I still have the original instructions. It's pretty beat up from the Super Champ. So anyway, we'll see you on the build. And to my drone and flying subscribers, hang in there. We're going to hit the wheels for a few videos. I got a crawler coming, and then we'll get back to the drones, because I do have a couple built that you're going to want to see. Car crash out.